One of the most popular urban exploring spots in the Bay Area is also the site of some amazing California history. A lot of people just see a burnt out husk of a building, but there's so much history here. Welcome to the Something or Other tour. Welcome to the Something or Other tour. We're in San Francisco, and this is the legendary Bayshore Roundhouse. This is one of the most overexplored places in the Bay Area. Any Bay Area urban explorer knows this location, but not a lot of people have dug deep into the history of this place and why it matters. So you know me. Wow. Bayshore Roundhouse was constructed in 1907 to 1910, and it was constructed by Southern Pacific Railroad, which was one of the biggest railroad companies at the time. For the last 25, 30 years or so, this has been a graffiti artist's playground, and it's also been a haven for urban explorers. The purpose of a roundhouse was there was basically a big turntable. So just like spokes of a wheel, trains could go on that turntable, they could spin it, send the train off in any direction that they needed to. This facility was pretty big in its heyday.
How big?
Real big.
The roundhouse is one of the last remnants of the Bayshore rail yards. You can still see the tracks coming in. There was over 200 roundhouses in California. When they built this, it was primarily steam engines. Now with steam engines, you don't really want them going backwards, so a turntable was necessary so they could just drive on, they could spin it around, drive back the other way. This facility was mostly for maintenance for the freight railroads. Passenger railroads went to another roundhouse over in Mission Bay. The original Southern Pacific was founded as a landholding company in 1865. 20 years later, in 1885, they acquired the Central Pacific Railroad. By 1900, it was a major railroad network across the country. Because they acquired Central Pacific, they owned a whole bunch of different small networks of railroads, from New Orleans to San Francisco, all over the place. Many of you know that different railroad companies have different paint schemes to differentiate the different railroad companies. Southern Pacific had jet black locomotives, and eventually they painted the very front silver. Real sleek look. Raiders fans out there might like that one. In 1996, the company was acquired by Union Pacific Railroad, another railroad juggernaut, and it ceased operations under the name Southern Pacific. I love railroad history. Love it. All aboard! The turntable here was originally 80 feet in diameter, but in 1941 they extended it to 110 feet. There was eventually 39 tracks coming in and 25 going out. They estimated in 1921 that over 41,000 trains had come through here and got serviced in here. There was 40 stalls in here, so 40 spots where trains could get serviced at a time. From out here you can see the stalls. Out here you would have the turntable. Tracks would go into each stall and they could rotate it out. This is a photographer's paradise. My cousin at the pick van's having a ball over there. Could you imagine the big freight engines chugging into here? Oh, the stalls are numbered. Pretty cool, they got the numbers up here for each stall still. So you'd have the engines out here. They pull up into these stalls, pull it right in here, get to work, maintain that son of a gun, huh? At its height, there was 3,000 people working at this roundhouse. That's how big of an operation it was. So you can imagine, it was probably chaos in here. As much as I love this, I do wish I could see it in its heyday. It's kind of a shame how every abandoned place ends up like this. Basically just a shell covered in graffiti. Sometimes it's cool, but sometimes I wish I could see it in all its glory. I'm still so young. All right, now the very important question. How many chuggas before the choo-choo? People always look for the answer, but I think it depends on the rhythm, right? If you do it fast, it's chugga 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 choo choo, right? If you have some bounce to it, chugga 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 choo choo, right? Am I wrong? So it could either be 4 or 6. Anything less, anything more is ridiculous. Remember I told you this place was built for steam engines, right? That's an important piece to why this place crumbled the way it has. By the 1950s, steam engines were older technology. They were being replaced by diesel engines. Diesel engines could go forward or backwards with no mechanical issues, meaning you didn't really need a roundhouse anymore. So the original purpose of this place was no longer needed. And in the late 1950s, it basically just became a storage facility, no more maintenance. Of course, nowadays you'll hardly ever see turntables because there's not too many steam engines out there, especially one to this scale that could house up to 40 engines at a time. Most of the steam engines you see out there are small scale stuff for attractions and things like that, hobbyists, enthusiasts, museums. Over the decades, the building started to fall into disrepair as it was just a storage yard, and it was officially closed on October 25th, 1982. And since then, it's just been a haven for graffiti artists and urban explorers. Still to this day, North-South Rail goes right past this place. The building sat mostly intact until 2001, when a fire burned much of it down. From my understanding, there was hopes to turn this original roundhouse building into a railroad museum, but the fire put an end to those plans. Because this original brick survived the fire, in 2010, this was listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So I'm still holding out hope that someday this will be rebuilt, turned into a museum of some kind. That would be amazing. Now you won't find much here besides the birds, occasional graffiti artists, and urban explorer. This place is creepy, but in a good way. It's really cool. All this property was sold off. There are some businesses still on the property, and they lease some of the old buildings. So some of these structures you see are also original as part of the whole railroad facility that was here. Look at this cool stuff I found here. What is that? Anyone know? Railroad tie? I don't know. I absolutely love these archways here. So cool. A ton of people have done videos here. This place is not unknown. This place is not a mystery. I know a bunch of people that have filmed music videos here and stuff. It's a popular spot. But most people don't actually appreciate the history. It's just this creepy old graffiti covered building. So much like the abandoned greenhouses of San Francisco that I did a video on somewhat recently, I like to actually dive into the history and appreciate the history and the things that went on here. The other day at an antique store, I just happened to buy this Southern Pacific map. The Transcontinental Railroad came out west. There was a whole race by different companies to try to get to the West Coast. A lot of terrible things and a lot of corruption, a lot of strong human spirit. I mean, I love this history, right? I love the railroads. I love the Wild West stuff. You guys know that. But you can't forget that this civilization that we brought was also encroaching on other civilizations all the way down. It's just good to keep perspective, that's all. A lot of things happened to get the railroad west, right? Then you needed to go north-south, connect places like Seattle to LA. While the missionaries did it on foot, the Americans decided to do it by rail. So this is a map of Southern Pacific and their route. So it went all the way from Seattle all the way to LA. Oh wow, you can go from Portland to Santa Cruz and to Yosemite and to Lake Tahoe. I just happened to buy this the other day, which is funny. But of course, we're right here, San Francisco. So this place is part of this history here. On my Patreon, I'm gonna be showing more of the cool stuff that I find and put on my walls. I find a lot of cool stuff that I enjoy. Remember, we do have that Patreon, a lot of bonus content, bonus behind the scenes stuff. If you'd like to support us further, get us to more stadiums and abandoned places across the country or the world. If you appreciate what I do, be awesome of you. I would really appreciate it. If not, if you just watch this video, it's all good. No biggie. We're cool. We're cool. You graffiti artists always impress me, man. Like, how'd you do that? Did you bring a ladder? Like, how the heck did you get up there?
Little leather jacket right here, man. Some shoes. You come here and outfit yourself.
Get a whole wardrobe going. So cool that there's other pieces of locomotives and stuff tucked back here. Wonder if it's gonna be restored or what? Anyone know what that silo thing out there might be? You could just imagine Thomas the Tank Engine rolling in here. Look at this fire truck. Fire truck? Where? I mean, are we talking locomotives? Full-blown locomotive chop shop. Woo! Mighty good time. Heck yeah, I like this spot. Heck yeah. Nowadays, railroads aren't as important to our society as they used to be, but the railroads literally helped build the West. We wouldn't be here without them. So many cool eras of San Francisco history. Trains came in and out of here and got service. Full service. Impressive. Ah, I'm so young. That's it for San Francisco's Bayshore Roundhouse. Technically in Brisbane, but... And of course, thank you to the Patreon subscribers we already have. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. A lot of cool things in the works. A lot more history and abandoned places and stadiums and whatnot. A little something or other. You know the name. Like, subscribe, share, do all the cool things the cool kids do. Vertlife, something or other tour. Chugga, 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 choo choo. It's 4. It's gotta be 4. I had to take a breath in between. I'm so young though. Is this facility mostly house steam engines? Holy shit, there's people on horses. We just had to run from guys on horses. Oh my God. Dude, we just lived Red Dead Redemption. Baby Yoder. We talking choo choo trains? Stupid.